Crouse.
Well, I like in the film that the character's backstory isn't really explained to us. My favorite moments in movies are always the moments where something is told to us without actually them going, I had a crappy childhood.
Yeah.
But when we see her old bedroom, for instance, and I don't want to give it away, but we see her old bedroom in the house that she grew up in, and it's pretty austere, to say the least. And it tells you kind of everything you need to know about how she grew up in that 1 minute. Or not even a minute, 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So interesting little moment. Now, when I see movies like this, I love like the crazy science movies of the 50s where the science didn't really make any sense. And you know, if we get the plutonium core, we can change the Earth's axis. You know, I love all that stuff, right? But this movie is a little different. This movie actually, you studied or, you know, you went to a lab and you learned how to you know, handle all the equipment and do all that. I mean, is there any basis in reality here?
I mean, I think you'd have to talk to George, who is our amazing, you know, consultant who actually knows these things. And Vincenzo would probably know a lot more about this than I do. You know, my sense is that that there is no real fear of this exactly happening. There are a lot of things limiting scientists and, you know, what they can do. And a lot of scientists self-regulating themselves in terms of, you know, their ethics. And I'm somebody who, you know, and you know, everybody has a different opinion about this. I'm someone who doesn't have a huge fear of science. I actually feel like most scientists are, you know, contributing amazing things to the world. And when we look at things like stem cell research, I don't have huge fears around the morality of that. So I feel like misinterpreted. I feel like this film could seem like an absolute horrible example of what could happen if we let the scientists have their way and get out of control. But actually, for me, as someone who, you know, is not so afraid of that stuff, I feel like it's more showing the absurdity of that fear in a way. Like, I mean, like, what do you think is going to happen? This? And it's pretty terrifying and fun to watch, but I don't actually feel like the movie makes me any more afraid about what we're doing in terms of scientific research.
Right. Tell me a little bit about working opposite Delphine. Yeah, because she's so striking in the movie, but I don't think that's her face, right? It can't be exactly her face. So were you like acting opposite like a tennis ball or something, you know, in the way that they do, and then they added her in later? No?
What was incredible about the way Vincenzo set this up is it is her, and then her face is slightly manipulated.
Yeah.
But so much of it is actually what she was there with us. So we were acting with a real, you know, creature person who is actually a great actor, who's giving us so much to work with. So, you know, there are a couple of scenes where I'm working with a puppet when, you know, when the creature is small. And those were at times challenging, although it was so cute. It was kind of, you know, it was a no-brainer.
Slimy, but cute.
Exactly. But with Delphine, it was like, you know, and I think we were all pretty surprised to be working with like this incredible like talent. I mean, you just kind of had to look at her and play the scene with her the way you would with any other actor, whether she was playing a creature or not. She was really extraordinary.
Well, she does a lot with no dialogue.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, a lot of it is just using her eyes to show fear or anger or defiance or seduction or whatever it is, and it's quite something. But I wasn't really sure, because the idea behind her, for those who haven't seen it, is that she's kind of half human and half something else, and she looks quite human but not quite, and that's the interesting kind of thing about her.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that was really interesting about Delphine was like so much of her work, a lot of it was done with us, but a lot of it was also done on second unit, so we didn't necessarily see her all the time, and so it was so interesting seeing the movie where I kind of sat back and went, oh my god, she's like the most amazing thing in the film. She's the center of the film, and she's the most amazing thing in the film. But she was sort of like off doing all this technical stuff all the time that we didn't really get to see. So that was a nice surprise for me watching it.
I think we're probably almost out of time. Let me, let me just you're working on a documentary now. You've got 2 films coming. Working on a documentary right now about memory and storytelling. Is that right? Tell me a little bit about that, because it's something I've been thinking about a great deal lately. Yeah, because I've been dealing with a family member with dementia, and sort of floating in and out of that, and sort of floating in and out of lucidity a little bit. So just tell me a little bit about this. This project.
Well, I'll talk about it in fairly vague terms. It's a movie about storytelling and the way we need as human beings to tell narrative and to create narrative out of our lives, and about our kind of insatiable need to cling to our version of the truth.
Right.
But when that truth is, measured up against 20 other truths of the same event, we can't possibly have the truth the way we think we do. So it's basically the same story told 20 different ways.
Sort of like Rashomon kind of thing, or
in a way, but a sort of messy, experimental, funny version of it. Yeah. So and beyond that, I'll probably wait till it's done to talk more about what it's about, because I'd love to keep the actual story.
Sure,
kind of quiet,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then you're also working on Take This Waltz, or you will be. I guess you're in pre-production now.
Exactly.
And how do you juggle two films at the same time? Because Take This Waltz sounds to me like a bit of a larger project.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely testing the limits of my organizational ability and my focus, but I have to say it's very hard to complain about getting to make two films that you want to make exactly the way you want to make them. I feel like to be able to do one of those in your whole life is a huge privilege, so to be two at the same time, it's kind of amazing. It has required just a lot of organization, and we just finished our first stage edit of the documentary. Now I'm in full-time on, Take This Waltz. When we're done the picture edit, then we'll be going to shoot a little bit more on the documentary. Then I come back, do post sound and picture on Take This Waltz. Then I do an edit of the documentary and post. So basically every day between now and next, September is pretty much spoken for. But I'm having the time of my life, and I feel like I'm surrounded by the most incredibly talented, supportive people doing it. So I'm having a ball.
Richard Crouse.